lot of folks. I like a lot of things in this world. I like video games, food, men. But there is one thing that stands above them all.
Tier lists.
And what is a better way to do a tier list than to do one about one of my favorite games of all time? Project Zomboid. So here's the official tier list of the melee weapons that can be found in this silly, annoying,
fucking irritating piece of shit of a game.
Now, disclaimer, there are a lot of weapons such as pens and other little idbit items that I physically couldn't find a tier list that included them. So they will sadly not be featured on this tier list. But no, pens and pencils fucking suck. So to start us off, we're going to be looking at the F tier weapons. Now, these weapons you should use in a last case scenario. Don't use them unless you physically cannot find anything else, or you've joined a multiplayer server and you can't find anything because your house has been picked fucking clean and the only thing you can find is a goddamn half-broken spoon. These items include forks, spoons, scissors, plungers, umbrellas, rakes, stool legs, tennis rackets, planks, scalpels, flutes, drumsticks, badminton rackets, fishing rods, both crafted and ones that you can find, saxophones, and trumpets. If you use any of these, you're wasting your time. There are literally dozens of better options than any of these weapons. Next, we got some weapons that can be alright, but there's still plenty of better choices you can choose from. Just like that one guy on TikTok could have chosen his words a bit better in that song he did.
Kung Fu Panda, is my
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to name every single weapon in this list, so I'm gonna name off some notable ones. If you use any spear that isn't having a hunting knife or a machete at the end of it, it's pointless. It's fucking pointless to do that. If you're gonna make a spear, at least make it out of a hunting knife or a machete. It's the best way to do it. Sledgehammers are on this part of the list mainly because they aren't practical. They're too slow. Yes, they have great damage, but unless you're prime Ronnie Coleman, you ain't gonna kill many of these things with this thing. You're just not gonna do it, so that's why sledgehammers are in D tier. Next, we got bread and butter knives. They're better than forks and spoons, to say the least, but they're not very good. And they're also almost identical. The only difference is that bread knives have a little bit more durability on them. So, if you're going to use either one, use a bread knife. I seriously would not recommend using almost any of these weapons unless they are a backup piece, but even then, these aren't very good backup pieces. That's enough shitting on weapons for now. Let's get into the weapons that are actually really good to use for your first couple days of surviving, and even after your first few days, they make a great backup piece, or when your weapons eventually break. Before we move on to the C tier weapons, I just want to tell y'all that not many of you are actually subscribed, despite most of you being reoccurring viewers. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss anything by me. That's all I got for now, so I'll let you get back to the weapons.
Yes, buy me a coffee.
Many of the weapons in this section can be found in your starting home, such as a knife or a meat cleaver. But it can also have a little bit more substance to it, like a screwdriver or a hammer, which have more utility. Depending on which you have better stats in, whether that is short blade or short blunt, you are free to pick your poison. None of these are a bad choice by any means. My personal favorite starter weapon is the lead pipe or the metal bar. They have great damage and decent durability. I don't know what else you can ask for. However, if you want to do your best impression of Kurt Cobain, grab a shotgun. I mean, a guitar. It's a decent weapon for people that like high damage and don't mind the slow swing speed. I'm so fucking sorry, Cobain. Anyway, here's the whole C tier if you want to take a look. Now it's time to talk about the weapons you will always want to pick up, because they could remain as your main weapon for a long time. Weapons like the baseball bat and the hand axe will always be amazing weapons. And in the case of the baseball bat, you can turn it into one of the best weapons in the game with just some nails. Still wish I could wrap the bat in barbed wire for obvious reasons.
So, back to it.
But nails will do for now. Speaking of spiked bats, that's where they are in this tier list. They're in A tier, along with wood axe. Those are literally the only two weapons that I have placed in A tier. Because there are 4 weapons, only 4, that are better than those 2. And I'm gonna rank those 4 based on my personal preference. All of these are great. Number 4, katana. Number 3, the machete. Number 2, the crowbar. And number 1, by far, the fire axe. The fire axe is able to chop down doors, chop up wooden appliances extremely easily, almost as easy as the wood axe. And 2, it has a great swing time, great durability, and fantastic damage. It is the perfect weapon. The only thing it can't do is get me some bitch.